Yeah, good evening again. So we shall discuss, continue discussion on what? We discussed which particular unit you are discussing last class? Anyone? Yes, please go ahead. Pratyush, sorry. Pratyush, I can see you in the front one. How many people are there? Oh, only 5, 6 people are there. Okay, no problem. We are talking about our cost of capital, okay? What is cost of capital? Anybody? Can anybody tell? One of you? Pratyush, Soumya, Vikas, Nandakishore, Prakhar, and Avyukt, and Ragini. Yes,
Sir, it
Ragini,
is
can
like
you? Yeah, Pratyush, please go ahead.
the return we receive on an investment.
Return received. Okay, right. Anyone else? Ragini, can you say something about cost of capital?
Yes, sir. The interest that we have to pay on the capital borrowed.
Very good. Okay. So from the debt point of view, it is the interest that is paid. Okay, that is very explicitly there. Whereas from equity point of view, how what you will say?
Sir, dividend.
But dividend is not compulsory, na?
Expectation of shareholder return.
Expectation shareholders. Okay. So cost of capital can be implicit or explicit depending on the source of fund. For example, in debt, it is explicit because there is a commitment you have to pay the interest, also the principal after some time, etc., etc. Whereas in equity, you do not say anything like that. But at the same time, shareholders do expect a rate of return from the company. So company must keep that in mind. Otherwise, what will happen? If you earn a return, you may make a profit, but the profit is not more than what the investors expect, or at least equal to what the investors expect. Then indirectly, what will it will affect the share price. People will not be interested in investing in your company also. So the share price slowly will come down. That is normally it should happen like that. Okay. So the companies which make profit more than the cost of capital. So cost of capital in the way you can define as the return expected by the investors. That is the cost of capital. So the company must strive to earn a return which is equal to or more than the cost of capital. So if the company earns a return more than the cost of capital, we say company is creating wealth for the investors. If it is earning a return equal to the cost of capital, we say company is maintaining the wealth of the investors, and the company is generating a return less than the cost of capital, we say the company is eroding the wealth of the investors. That is a general thing you can say. And again, cost of capital also is applied as a hurdle rate. So hurdle rate means suppose you are going to evaluate a particular project, which we will discuss in the tomorrow's class. Okay, pricing a project, so you should take it up or not take it up. So and you have to discount the future cash flow today, and you discount it, we need a discounting factor, and the discounting factor is known as the cost of capital. Okay, and then since we are going to have, let me just share this one. I hope my writing pad works perfect today. So okay, so we talk about cost of capital. No, it is not working. I thought it was working correct. Sorry, I have to go back to spreadsheet. I think. Just a minute. Let me see one more thing. Investors. So Okay, so then we have got debt. We may have reference share capital. We'll also have something called equity. Okay, so as far as the cost of debt is concerned, what we do typically, we just say interest. If it is a perpetual debt, if it is a perpetual, which is typically not there, which is perpetual, interest by debt can be taken as the cost of debt or interest rate as such. But from the company point of view, what we do something called we multiply 1 minus t. That's what we discussed in the previous class. Because when you claim some interest, we also can get some tax benefits. So if this company is paying 100 rupees of interest and the 30% the tag income tax for the company, so it can save 30 rupees tax. So effectively the cost of debt into absolute value becomes 70 rupees. So if it is a 10% interest, it becomes 7% as the cost of debt from the as a company point of view, the post tax as such, right? Similarly, you may have debenture or bond. This is same like YTM, but with a catch. What is that catch? Can somebody tell me? Like if we do the YTM, we calculate a bond valuation. Same like YTM, but with a catch. What is that catch here?
It's not the actual YTM because we haven't really accounted for the end with the money which the lump sum money which we pay back.
No, YTM factors that.
No, in this
In debenture bond also, debenture bond is not perpetual. You are going to get back the principal.
okay, so this is a perpetual bond.
No, this is not debenture bond. If I don't tell anything, it is not a perpetual. It is with maturity. This one is a perpetual debt. The above one. Here is different. So maybe it's a 5-year bond or redeemable after 5 years. Yes, and you will get the principal or whatever money back. You will get something back.
But
So you can use the YTM, right?
what exactly is the question? Is it about debenture and bond?
Yes, I'm saying in case of debenture or bond, the cost of debt can be like YTM that we calculated in our bond valuation, but there is a catch here. What is the catch? You have to do something. We cannot use that formula just like that. In YTM, we have the interest, correct? But there you do not factor the tax, right? So you have to factor the tax also here. Okay, right? So tax has to factor. In that case, you have to do the take care of the 1 minus t also here in this debenture or bond cost also. Okay, so that will I'll show an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, and we'll one by one will solve also. So cost anyway. So debenture YTM will say adjust for the tax. Okay, so let me take an example also right now. Now let's say the market price of bond is rupees 1000. Coupon, let's say 10%. Then maturity after 5 years, and redemption price, redemption value is also rupees 1000, right? Can somebody tell me what is the okay, face value also 1000. Can somebody tell me what is the pre-tax cost of debt? Yes. Hmm. Are you there?
So your voice is breaking. Not sure if it's just for me or for other people as well.
Yes, sir, your voice is breaking.
Oh, let me first switch off the video. Let's see. Now it is okay, little better or same?
Yes, sir, it's better.
Better, sir.
Okay. So the question was this, what is the YTM here? You should not take more than 5 seconds for this answer. Hmm.
10%.
Pardon?
10%.
Sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
When there is no difference between the redemption price, maturity value and the market price, the issue price or market price, your YTM will be same as coupon. Please keep that in mind. Okay? Only when there is a difference between these two values, then you can see your ITM can be more than or less than the coupon depending on the difference. If the redemption price is more than the market price, okay, or market price is more than redemption price, then things can be different. Here everything is same. Market price, face value, redemption, everything is same. So it will be same as what? 10%. So ITM is 10%. So pre-tax cost of debt will also be 10%. If tax rate is 30%, your cost of debt post-tax will be how much? How much will be the post-tax cost of debt? 7%. 10% into 1 minus T. Okay? Right. So then you have a shortcut formula also for the bond which has got different price. So let's say
Why,
market
why is it 1 minus 3? मतलब after
1 minus.
cost कम क्यों है?
Because if you pay 100 rupees interest, you will get 30 rupees tax benefit.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that's effectively you are actually paying 70 rupees.
Got it.
So market price of a bond is rupees, let's say 950, and face value is equal to redemption value is equal to, oh no, great. I was wondering why it was not throwing problem. Very good. Just a minute, let me open the file, then I'll share the screen, okay? Sorry. What is Vikas you are asking? Stock for everyone? What is that question? Vikas or Vishal?
I think he was just asking ki is the class stopped, like if sir is speaking anything or not. That's what he meant. So
Okay,
like,
right. Okay, so let me show the example directly here. So let's look at this exercise where you have got the coupon 10%, face value 1000 rupees, premium at redemption. Sometimes bonds may say that we will be giving you something extra at the time of redemption. So this bond is giving 7% interest, sorry, 7% premium at the time of redemption. So that means you will be getting 1070 rupees at the time of redemption. And there is something called a flotation cost. Flotation cost is what? Anybody? Can somebody tell me what is the flotation cost?
I think when you go to the market, you float something. So going to the market would probably have some cost you have to pay to NSE, BSE, or whoever the stock exchange person is. So probably something like that.
Yeah, when you companies go for like bond issue or initial public offering, follow-on public offering, etc., etc., they're called issue management cost. It's the flotation of equity, flotation of debt, flotation of instrument as such. So there will be merchant bankers, bankers per se, then or investment bankers you can say, then brokers, agents, printing, advertisement, all those things will be there. So whatever money you raise, you have to pay something for the transaction or flotation cost also. That means says that if you are raising 1000 rupees from the market by issuing that, no, it is right, 1000 rupees the face value and market price is not given. So we can say that yes, we can say the market price it is sold for 1000 rupees, but you have to give 50 rupees as your flotation cost. That means effectively the company has 950 rupees in hand to use for whatever project they have thought of. They cannot use 1000 rupees. But they have to pay interest on 1000 rupees, but they can use only 950 rupees because 50 rupees has gone towards flotation cost. So in that case, what will happen? Your net proceeds you have to adjust for flotation cost becomes 950 rupees, 5% minus 1000 rupees. So 950 rupees you are going to use, whereas you are going to repay 1070 rupees because you are paying 7% premium. Okay. And in that case, what will be the cost of debt? So we can do this thing particularly in three different ways. One is that this is a shortcut formula is there. So what is shortcut formula? In this numerator you have got interest into 1 minus t because you are going to get tax benefit, and in the numerator also you have got the maturity amount or the redemption value minus the net proceeds P0 whole divided by n, that m minus P0 by n. Okay, then what are you doing effectively? The amount that you are paying extra, you are spreading over its life of the bond. So m minus P0 nothing but you are paying how much? 1070, but you have taken only 950 effectively. So you are 120 rupees extra you are paying. That 120 rupees you are spreading over n number of years. If n is here how many? 5. That means as if you are adding 24 rupees each for each year as such. So this is your coupon for 1 year. Okay, adjusted for tax. And this is your extra amount that you pay overall, and that divided by n, that is 24 rupees. Then denominator what you do here, we do an adjustment 0.6 into the present price and 0.4 into the market price. Sorry, the maturity proceeds, not market price. So this is a shortcut formula to find out the cost of debt. In fact, this particular formula already tell that in the class, but this particular formula also can be used for finding out the YTM. What you do only that you don't multiply 1 minus t. If you remove this 1 minus t, it will be known as YTM. That is shortcut formula, but it will not give you the exact answer. Okay, it will give an approximate answer. So when you do that, apply this formula. If you see here, I have done here. Okay, if you want me to do the redo, I can do it. You look at the formula. So what I do here, I say interest. Interest is nothing but how much? Interest is coupon into the face value into 1 minus tax rate. Tax rate is how much? 33% is given here, plus maturity amount 1000 starts, bracket starts, minus the net proceeds 950 divided by number of years 5. This is in your numerator. This is in your numerator, and in denominator you have 0.6 multiplied with what? Which cell? Multiply which cell? Tell me. Anyone?
The 950.
C9. Okay. C9 plus 0.4 multiplied with C8. Okay. Right. So it gives you 9.12%. Okay, it is adjusted for already 1 minus t tax, no problem. But similarly also we can do using something called YTM formula, where you would take some settlement date and maturity date. So 5-year gap. So I have taken assume 1st April 2020 as settlement date. That means when the bond was issued. Maturity date is given at 31st May 2025. You can use this formula also. And you can use the YTM formula called yield formula in the spreadsheet. You just type yield, automatically that things will come. So if I type yield, automatically when you do that, things will come there. So please explore that formula. I'm not going to talk about that here. So that gives you 9.16%. So although shortcut gave 9.12%, it is 9.16% actually correct. That is one approach. Another approach is that you simply go for using internal rate of return. So what do you do here? You project the cash flows. So like 950 rupees is your cash. For the company, it is a cash inflow. You are getting 950 rupees. Whereas every year you are paying 100 rupees minus 33%, 67 rupees as your interest, post-tax interest. That is an outflow. So these are the outflow, and the final year you pay 67 rupees interest plus how much? 1070. So that gives you 1137. And you just go there, say IRR. Just block this and give you 9. It will give you same value. YTM function, yield function, and IRR function should give you same value. And the approximate formula can give you, may not give you the same value. Okay. And when will the approximate formula will give same value like this YTM and IRR? Can anybody tell me? Under what circumstances the approximate formula will also give the same answer? Tell me. Under
P
what circumstance? Pardon?
When P naught is equal to M.
Very good. Who said this?
So Abhyukt.
Always objectively says or what? Okay. Yes. The P naught is equal to M, then in denominator numerator M minus P becomes 0, and same as P0. Hello? Hello?
Your voice was breaking.
Now it is okay?
Yes, sir. Now it is
Yes,
okay, but
sir.
we missed the last 2 minutes.
So cost update had finished?
Yes, sir. So you were explaining when will the shortcut method give, like the formula will be equal to the IRR.
Okay. Abhyukt answered that. I said, okay. You heard Abhyukt answer, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you. Actually, I am outside the campus, so there's a network problem for me. Okay, no problem. So let's see. So let me go to preference share capital then. So 10,000 rupees your face value, one preference share. Irredeemable means you are not going to give the principal back, and you will be getting only dividend as a preference share holder. So the company has issued 10,000 rupees special preference shares. As many shares might have been issued. Flotation cost 3% means the company can use only 9,700 rupees per preference share. Okay. And how much dividend has to pay every year? 1,200. So simply what you do here with irredeemable, simply take dividend divided by the net proceeds at 9,000. So it gives you 12.37%. Okay. So 12.37% cost of preference share capital, but that is not the ideal situation. Ideal situation is that preference share capital will have a life. Okay, so second situation, you have got a premium to pay at the time of redemption, and number of years to maturity is 5, and redemption value 10,500, dividend is 1,200. So there what you do, and same thing is there, 9,700 you are getting. What happened? Just apply that formula here. As I told you, simply if you go for shortcut formula, then you apply this one. KP is equal to dividend for the preference share plus N minus P divided by N whole divided by the 0.6 into present value and that net proceeds and 0.4 maturity value. So if you apply that formula, you get 13.57%. That is one. But as I told you, approximate formula gives an approximate value, would not give the exact value. So you can use IRR or your solver in your what is that calculator. You can use solver. So what is happening here? If you put the cash flows, so 9,700 is the cash flow you are going to get as a company, but you have to pay 1,200 every year for the 5 years plus 10,400 at the time maturity. So at the time maturity you are paying dividend for the 5th year as well as the maturity value. So total comes to 11,700. So that when you do this IRR formula, you get 13.63%. Okay. So 13.63% is the cost of preference share capital. Okay. So we have got cost of Yeah.
So how is preference share capital different from bonds and debentures? You told us about it, but
I think I discussed about this.
we did, but I can't really look at the like in the calculation. There is no difference, but
No, calculation there's difference. No. So why? See, these calculations are keeping in mind the cash flows. Okay. Don't bother about the preference share related cash flow or the bond event related cash flow. So formula will not differ because it's based on cash flow. Formula will not differ because just because the preference share or cost or the debt, it differ only because tax implication. Okay.
yes.
So don't mix those things. Preference share capital we have discussed. It is a hybrid version of equity share capital and on debenture or bond. Okay. And whereas debenture is a loan, equity is a equity assets. Preference share capital is in between. But preference share capital is not a very popular instrument. If you look at the survey, the companies financing, let's say top 50 companies, top 500 companies for that matter. It is my guess, my guess can be wrong also. I don't think more than 20% of the companies will having preference share capital in their capital structure. Okay. So anyway, it is there. So that if it is there, we have to do that as such.
But if one is clearly superior, then why not just use that?
That companies decide which is superior.
But if, for example, I think one has a lower tax liability. So the one instrument which has lower tax liability, why wouldn't everyone just keep using it? I don't think anyone wants to pay extra tax to the government, right?
So in that case, you say they should go for a debt, debenture or bond, right?
Yes, I think maybe in the tax liabilities are different for the issuer and the buyer. So maybe in the preference shares, maybe the dividend isn't taxed, the person who gets it, if I remember correctly.
That depends on the country, and in India now dividend is taxable. It is becoming taxable in the hands of the investor. It was not for some time back.
Okay.
Because dividend distribution tax has been removed. Okay. So anyway, that varies from regime to regime, country to country, but interest income is taxable in the hands of the investor. There is no ambiguity about that. So from the investor point of view, I may go for preference share capital over a debenture or bond. But one thing is that preference share dividend is not certain, may not be certain, but debenture debt is compulsory to be paid, interest is compulsory to be paid. But dividend is a distribution of profit. Company doesn't make profit, company may say that we will not give you the dividend. So maybe in the stage of the company where the company is not sure of earning profit to pay the interest, company can take the investor conference and go for dividend, it's a preference share, and there they can have one clause that there is something called, we have discussed that in this class also, called cumulative preference share. That means you don't get dividend now, you may get dividend later. The area dividend also will get at the when you actually company makes profit. So in that condition, preference share capital will be more useful financing option for the company. Okay.
Got it.
Right. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying. That's so the discussion shows that preference share capital may not be a preferred one from the company's point of view. That's why we see that not so many companies has gone for preference share capital. Okay. Right. So then we go to another thing called cost of equity. Cost of equity is one of the challenging thing. There are couple of methods of cost of equity formula is there. So for example, here we have taken one cost of equity depending on the dividend discounting model. Okay. So let me tell you, let me create that. So cost of equity using DDM, dividend discount model. Okay, very simple. If you remember when you did the valuation of equity, what is the valuation of equity we did? P0 is equal to what? D0 into 1 plus What is that?
G.
1 plus G. कहाँ गया G? Okay. Divided by KE minus
R
G.
minus.
Or R means KE. Now we have to take KE means cost of equity. So what will be cost of equity then? Applying this formula. From this formula, how did you define the cost of equity? From the above formula, what will be the formula now for cost of equity? And D0 into
G
1 plus G
plus-
can be taken as D1. Okay. D0 into 1 plus is nothing but D1, na?
Yes.
D1 by
So
P0 plus G. Okay. This is your cost of equity. With a what?
D, it will be D1 by KE minus G. Say, how did we make it into this? So the
Arey,
numerator becomes D1, right? In the P naught wala wo.
what is that?
This is what I'm asking. In the P naught formula, D naught into 1 plus G becomes D1, and D1 divided by KE minus G.
What is
Then
P1 here? There is no P1. There is a P0 only.
D1.
हाँ.
So ऊपर वाला जो in the first formula, okay, you've solved for K. Got it.
क्या करते हो यार?
No, I
No
was
problem.
thinking left hand side same.
Actually, problem is not that you do not, I mean, all of you, not you. You don't know. Actually, problem is that you know so much. That's why the simple formula leads to confusion for you. That is the only thing, nothing else. Okay?
If I remember correctly, then this formula isn't the exact formula. It's a shortcut, right?
No, it is the exact formula. If
This
this is
for
the
infinite
exact,
dif-
this is
infinite-
exact, this is exact formula.
for infinite dividends.
Obviously,
Okay.
this formula holds good only the infinite dividend. Equity is infinite. Please keep in mind. Equity has no life.
Yes, sir.
And your objective of investment is to get only dividend, nothing else. Okay? That's a simple model, right? So this is a call. If there is no growth, no problem, it will be D1, D0 by P0. If there is no growth, it will be D0 by P0. If G is equal to 0, it will become what? When G is equal to 0, the formula will be what? A will be D0 by P0. Okay? Anyway. But you may have situation where you have multiple growth models. So you see here the valuation I have done. So current dividend is 1.5, 0th year. It will grow at 12% for another how many years? For this next 2 years. Then it will grow at 10% for next 3 years. After that it will grow at, next 2 years. After that it will grow at 8% till perpetuity. So no problem. So it is a valuation of formula. So 75. Etc. So what 90% the discounting factor which equates the future cash flow as present cash flow. What is cash flow? From the point of view, for the present cash flow, 0th year's cash flow is how much? Tell me, what 0th year cash flow for the investor or for the company? Are you there? How do we know they are or not there?
So your
Hello?
voice cut off for like a little while in between. So 0th year cash flow, in what context are you asking?
What is 0th year cash flow for the investor?
That would be D0, no?
Value of
Value of the share, means current market price. Investor will pay 55 rupees today and expecting dividend from first year onward. 0th year cash flow has no meaning for us because he is not going to get it. He is going to get only first year onward. Okay? Okay. So now what do we do here? We have to take that particular cost of equity by using solver or your goal seek, which will give you what? This 90.16 will be equal to 55.0. Okay. So that if you apply in goal seek in spreadsheet, it comes to 11.27%. Okay. So 11.27% will be the cost of equity for in this particular example, where you can see 55 rupees is your present value as per the valuation. 55 rupees also is your market price today. So that to 11.27% equalizes the cash flow tomorrow and cash flow today. Tomorrow means first to 5 year and today is 0th year. Okay.
So if in the 0th year ka dividend we don't, if the investor doesn't get it, then that the way we value shares, usme to we assume that the investor is getting 0th year wala dividend, like 1.5 rupees mil raha hai usko, but now
then in that case he has to the price will become 53.5.
Okay, acha.
Okay, he's paying for the share today.
Okay, so
and he's also paying 1.5 for dividend because he's going to get dividend.
Got it. So basically the way जो उसमें answer आता है, the way we value an equity share from the dividends, उसमें से we need to subtract D0 to get the actual market price if D0 मिल नहीं रहा है.
Then the value is going to forecast the dividend or D2 onward, D1 onward. Okay.
Your voice got cut off. Can you just repeat?
The D0 value is only given as a reference for calculating values for D1 onward.
Okay, so even in the calculation which we do for share price, उसमें we don't add D0.
No, obviously not. D0 is given on D0 into 1 plus G. We need D0 to find out the D1.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Anyone else?
So this is basically this goal seek calculation is same as the IRR calculation. We can actually just put in minus market price plus all the dividends and then just use
Yeah, you
the
can do that also. Yes, you can do that. You can use IRR formula here also. No doubt. Okay. Right. So this I put in equation format. You see here, same thing has been kept in equation format. We are solving for KE. Okay, where P0 is equal to 55. Right? That's what we have done here. I have depicted here. Okay. So please go through that later also. Same thing has been kept here. I remember last time post midsem I had taught this and had prepared this for when taking the class in Zoom, etc. So it is being useful now for me. So then, but dividend discount model is not the better.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dividend discount model is not a better model for cost of equity calculation. for the reason that people don't invest only for dividend as such. Okay. So for example, if you apply dividend yield, if you find out from the companies, you will find very less actually. So what we do here, we apply the CAPM that we discuss, risk and return. We'll apply, that is a very popular method which is applied by most of the analysts, investors, valuation cases also, they apply CAPM. So what you do here, we say cost of equity is a function of risk-free return and risk premium. A risk premium is a function of the beta of the stock. So beta of the stock into market return minus RF gives you risk premium. So if you look at this example here, your risk-free return is 7%, market is 15%, risk premium is 8% in that case. Okay, 15 minus 7 is 8%. Beta of the stock is 0.9. Then obviously my cost of equity is equal to RF plus beta into risk premium, that is your 8%. So 14% means actually 14.2%. Yeah, 14.20% is your cost of equity. Okay, applying CAPM. So we got the example here, cost of equity, cost of debt, cost of preference share. Then what we do, we find out the average cost of capital for the company. Okay, so let's take an example here. So I have taken, let's look at this particular spreadsheet where okay, so is another example where you have got paid up capital, face value 10, then you have got the value here, reserve surplus this much, this is, that means so total equity is 225,000,000, that is 25 lakh. Your preference capital face value to 100 rupees, so to value is 800,000. That means how many shares are there? Preference shares are there. How many shares? 8,000 shares are there. Debentures is 12 lakh rupees. You have 1,000 rupees face value. Okay, so total capital of the company is 45 lakh, and the weightage are given as this 55.7. These are the weightage given based on what? Your total capital. So if you do this one, if I can do it again, divided by this, that gives you 55. So I drag it here. So this is your cost of gain. Then as we did the cost of equity, cost of debt calculation, you do that. Of course, this is not the same cost of equity, cost of debt calculation. These are new figures here. Like for this example, equity is taken as cost of equity is nothing but 1.2 is beta, 8% is risk-free return, risk premium is 7%. So cost of equity comes to how much? Risk-free plus 1.2 beta into risk premium. So that gives you 16.2%. So it's a 16. So same thing is here, 16.4%. Preference share capital, what are the conditions given? Irredeemable preference share means what is the cost of capital? Can somebody tell me how it will go about? How do you go about for preference share capital?
Irredeemable में तो we can simply, if dividend amount doesn't change, then we can simply divide by D0 by the
market price. In market price is given
D0 by M.
So market price is given how much? 95. Here is given. The market price is given also here. Okay.
But
so what is the dividend? What will be the cost of debt then? Cost of preference share capital. What is the dividend? Dividend is how much? 12% on face value. That is 100 rupees. So 12 divided by 95. So 12.63%. Okay. And for the cost of debt, here your market price, here it is your face value. We'll take, if nothing is given, what is the redemption value? Okay. We'll take face value as redemption value. Please keep that in mind. If nothing is mentioned, how to the redemption value, we'll take face value as redemption value. So in that case, what we do here, you have 1,100 is the market price, 1,000 is face value, which is also your in the formula. In this formula, M is how much? Can somebody tell me? In this formula, what is M and what is P? Looking at this value, what is M and what is P? Yes. What is the M and what is the P? Are you there?
Sir, is it 1100 M? M is 1100 and 1000 is P.
Yes. 1000 is P. No. M is the maturity amount. P is the today's price. P is given P0. What is P0? 1100. Today's price. 1100 is the P0. Maturity value is same as face value is 1000. Okay. So 0.6 into 1100, 0.4 into 1000. Okay. Gives you, when you do that, you will find out that it is 8.07%. Okay. So if you want to, I can. Pardon?
What is KI?
KI is the cost of the individual capital.
So in the non-redeemable case, KI may why did we divide by market price and not by face value?
Why should you face value?
क्योंकि company में when the company issued the security, then I'm assuming that they got the amount of written on this face value. For example, if I issue 1000 rupee bond, I will get 1000 rupees.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily.
Not necessary. I know you did that. वो investment bankers वगैरह वाली cost you did remove it, but
no,
in this
no, not investment banker only. It is possible that with 12% coupon, preference share not be sold. There will not be any taker. But so you cannot change the face value 95. You will keep the face value 100 rupees, but issue at a 5% discount.
Okay, so the company is getting 95 rupees only. उसको 100 रुपए नहीं. Okay. Right? I thought market price varied after going to the market.
That is there. Actually, it is that only. So there are two theories, two approaches. One is that you go by book value itself, go market price. But the theory suggests that even if I got your point. Suppose maybe this company had issued the preference share 1 year back at 100 rupees.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I got the point. Good that you raised this point. And now the company's market share price is 95 rupees. What should we consider? 95 rupees or 100 rupees in our denominator? That is the question, correct? So the theory suggests that we will think as if the company will today go to the market, okay, like redeeming this share and going for new issue of share, it can raise only 95 rupees per share. So that is the implied value. So we'll take that as the basis for the calculation. A market price value is given, today's market price is given, and you apply that price, that particular market value for the formula. Do not go for the price that you have paid or got 1 year back at the time of issue of the shares as such. Okay. So like this, you got three different cost of capital. I is the ith capital. Okay, I is ith capital. It's preferential capital or debt or equity. Then your weight. Okay. So now please keep in mind here you have got two components of equity: paid up capital and reserve surplus or retained earnings, which includes reserves and surplus. Okay. So as far as equity is concerned, we will consider the entire value is equity. That is 25 lakh. We don't do for separately for internal equity and external equity. Don't do that. Entire equity is taken as one value, one component. Okay. So what we did here, 16.4 into 9. We got that based on the book value. So the weight you multiply respective weight. Okay, 9. So it comes 9.11, 2.25, 2. So overall comes 13.51%. This is your weighted average cost of capital based on the book value weight. But there is other theory which says instead of finding the weight on the book value, you find the weight on the market value basis. So let's do that. Okay, so this is based on what? This is book value weight, and based on book value weight, you got the cost of capital. Now we go to the market value weight. So for the market value weight, we need the number of instruments and the market price. Okay, so what do we do there? The market price is 60 for the share. 95 rupees is for the preferential capital and 1,100 rupees is for the debenture, and the number of instruments are also given here, 1 lakh, 8,000 and 1,200. Okay, so here you see market value of the equity is how much? 60 lakh. For the preference share, 7,60,000. These are very different for the book value. Please keep see here. The market value of equity is much higher than the book value of equity. Whereas market value of debt and book value debt not much difference. Market value preference share capital 7,60,000 and it is not much difference. Which difference is there here? So you do the calculation based on the market value in that case. Okay. Now, so in that case, what happened? Now weights have changed. You see the weights now. Earlier weight was how much? For equity 55.56 based on book value, but it is 74.26%, 9.41 and this total weight is 100%. So now applying the, since equity got little more weight and cost of equity is more than the rest of the cost as such, obviously overall cost of capital has gone up. Okay, so this is just an example to find out how to find out the different cost of capital for different components and how to find out the weights of capital based on book value, then find out the weighted average cost of capital where taking the book value weight. Then we also did something called found out the cost weight based on the market value and then applied the market value weight and got this one. So we got two things here. I know very natural for you to have that. Why do we go for two methods? Which is the superior as such? That question might be there in your mind. That debate is always there. If you read any textbook on financial management, you will find this debate also, the author talking about and they're justifying book value or market value, both pros and cons. Let's say that. Okay, my judgment or my final say in that is that if you have the information to find out the market weight, do consider market value weight instead of book value weight. Okay, that is the arbitrage. Okay, that is arbitration. That if there is a dispute, you will go by market value weight. Okay, not by the book value weight. That's what I'll say. And if you want to read more about the debate, you can always read the textbook. Okay. So any doubt? Any clarification?
Why is the reserves and surplus market value and book value different? Like, what does it even mean?
Pardon?
Why is there a large discrepancy between the market value and book value?
No. This is a hypothetical case. Discrepancy may be large or small. That is something. Okay.
But like even fundamentally, why does it arise? Like what counts under reserves and surplus? What does that mean? Reserves and surplus.
Retained earnings.
So how can retained earnings have a different market price and book value?
No. Your equity is equity paid up capital plus retained earnings. The investment in terms of accounting books value from the investor called equity point of view, how much they have invested? Tell me, as of now.
As of now, they have invested 25 lakh.
25 lakh. And the reserve surplus can include share premium. Share premium is never mentioned in face value. Please keep in mind. Okay. Suppose the company issues a share of 10 rupees per face value and 20 rupees 20% premium. Okay. So they will write 10 rupees in the paid up capital, 2 rupees in the premium component, and premium is a part of reserve surplus. Okay. Reserve surplus includes premium, general reserve, retained earnings, etc. They are all nothing but investments made by the.
Okay, so these 10 lakh rupees are the original. 10 lakh rupees are the original investment portfolio.
No. Who said that? Who said that?
I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking.
No. Reserve surplus breakup is not given here.
No. I'm asking paid up capital.
Okay. Reserve surplus breakup is not given. Reserve surplus also includes share premium. Okay. If share premium amount is there, that will be original investment also. Anyway, whether there is share premium, retained earnings, or whatever that is investment made by the shareholder either directly or indirectly. Retained earnings is the investment of shareholder. How do you say that? Because the shareholders could have taken that money to their pocket. They could have done something else, but they have kept the money here. Means what? They have reinvested their money, na?
I was asking paid up capital. ये है ना कि जो शुरू में पैसे दिए थे.
No, Paid up capital is the face value into number of shares.
What does might be a stupid question, but what does the face value of a share mean?
On the face, it shows 10 rupees.
But like significance क्या है उसका? Like does that mean the price at which it was issued to the investor?
No, price is the face value plus premium or face value minus discount.
Then why even have a face value?
Why you have a face value?
Huh.
Okay, that is as per the law. Okay, you cannot have, you must have face value. Okay, and then you, if you are going to issue a price share at a more than the fair, less than face value, you can issue at a premium or a discount.
Why not just issue at the why not
Yeah, you
just
can do that. Somebody can say, yeah, I got your point.
Huh.
Suppose the company thinks that our value of the equity should be 13 rupees, right?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. So in that case, what the company can say, yes, our face value is 13 rupees. Another company will say same thing, 13 rupees. They'll say, no, our company's face value is 10 rupees, but we are charging 3 rupees premium over face value. Still, both of them will get 13 rupees. Okay. But somebody will represent 10 plus 3, somebody will represent 13 rupees. That's what you are saying, right?
So exactly the difference.
Why am I going for 10? 10, 5, what is the nomenclature companies follow? All the companies have that practice, so companies do. Tomorrow, all the companies dispense with that practice, no, will not have any premium concept. They can always go for 13 rupees face value, 14 rupees, whatever that may be, but the comparison will be problem as such. So to make have a semblance in the market, they confront of face value, but there is no rule that face value will be 10, 15, 12 like that. There is no law. But one thing is there, as per Indian Companies Act, face value of share cannot be less than 1 rupee.
Okay, so face value is just usually put in as 10 rupees.
Now it is 5 rupees. Earlier it was to 10 rupees, but now you have face value like Infosys 1 rupee face value. It was 10 rupees. They went for stock split. Then they have made it now. Slowly it has become 1 rupee face value. They can't go further because Indian Companies Act restricts that face value of a share cannot be less than 1 rupee.
Okay.
Okay. If you can have 13, 14, but it will be a little awkward, odd number in the market for comparison. That's why they don't do that.
Okay, so the discrepancy between the market value and this paid up
Book
capital
value.
is because it is maybe for example, if the company was founded 10 years ago, now the share price is higher.
We will discuss about that in some other class. Okay. Let me finish this. We will discuss about, definitely discuss about that.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe separate session you will have for that, maybe half an hour for that matter. Why is that market value is different than the book value? And market value need not be always high also. Market value can be lower than book value also. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That is also possible, but they are not same. That much we will discuss. It can be more, it can be less depending on circumstances. Okay.
Got it.
Right. You have still cases where companies book value is negative or zero, still market price is there. Okay, you have cases, those cases also. It may be absurd, but it's still there. Okay. Right. So these are something I'll not discuss now. We'll talk about. This is something where you say that suppose you have a stock which is not listed. We do not have the beta for the stock, but we want to use the CAPM for that. Capital asset pricing model. For capital asset pricing model, you need beta, but our stock is not listed. Since stock is not listed, I can't find the beta. So how do I go about that? Finding out the beta for an unlisted stock. Okay, that is the approach here. So we'll discuss about that some other class. Okay. So as of now, we have discussed how to find out cost of equity, cost of debt, cost of preference. We have also studied how to find out the weighted average cost of capital. Since I have said that we will be taking for 1 hour, I don't extending, already we are 1 hour for 12 minutes. So tomorrow we are going to discuss something called what? Tomorrow's discussion is what? On, and this spreadsheet is already there in the Google Drive folder. So please have a look at that. Yeah, tomorrow we'll discuss what? अरे क्या चुप हो गए सब लोग?
Beta calculation for unlisted.
No, we will not discuss that. We will not discuss that. We will discuss that later. For the time being, whatever is given cost capital, let us go concentrate on that only. And we will discuss about the capital budgeting, investment decision. Okay. Right? Investment decision. That means if you go to project, cash flow, estimation of cash flow, NPV, IRR, all those things we'll discuss tomorrow at 8:25 a.m. I am not going to be available during the quiz time. Okay. Let me stop recording and say something.